So hands up if you have got a short-term rental property. Fantastic. Keep your hands up. Keep your hands up if you have one short-term rental property. Keep your hands up if you've got over 5. Over 10? Who's got over 20? Over 100? Wow, well, we've got some in here, right. Now, everybody put your hands back up, please. Keep your hands up if 50% of all of your bookings come in on Airbnb. Keep your hands up if over 60% of your bookings come on Airbnb. Over 70%, over 80%, over 90%, 100%. Okay, you can put your hands down. Here comes the salt. If over 65% of your bookings are coming from just Airbnb, you do not have a business, you have a job, and Brian Chesky's your boss. Now, wait with me here. This is why I could lose you, but I'm not going to. Now, having a boss can be a good thing. You've got security, you've got protection, they can provide, but what giveth can also taketh away. And the bad thing about having a boss is they can change the rules at any time. Now, I've been doing this for a long time. I was born in hospitality. I'm a rare breed. I've been in full-time since 2011. I know, I look 21, but it's hard to believe, I know. Now, I have seen Airbnb grow and rise and become the behemoth that it is, but there isn't just Airbnb. There's Booking.com, which is the Booking Holidays group, and there's Expedia, which is Vrbo. And when you got all of your eggs in one basket, it can literally take a Thanos snap, and your revenue and your profit can just disappear. The example that I want to give to you is one that's happening right now. Now, does everybody remember back in the day when Airbnb was just inquiry only? Yeah? Instant Book has not been around forever. It only really came in 2016, 2017. And when they brought it in, they encouraged all hosts to switch from inquiry only to Instant Book. They said, better ranking. They were to give you better visibility. You were going to get more bookings. But a lot of people kept it as inquiry only. And then for new hosts that came onto the platform in 2017, 2018, they were given an option when they first joined. Do you want to stay inquiry only, or do you want to be Instant Book? And then what they did is they had Instant Book as the prerequisite, and the inquiry only was like a secondary option. Now, if you want to do inquiry only, you've got to jump through so many hoops to turn it on. Instant Book is favorable, and it's given. Now, the reason why I tell you this is because hands up in the room who's just paying that 3% commission to Airbnb. Okay. So the normal model, 3% commission goes to Airbnb, and the service charge is passed on to the guest. The other option is a 14% flat rate fee. Now that 14% is important, and I'll tell you for why in a second. Now, I was messing about on Airbnb just the other week, and what I noticed is that Airbnb now is pushing more and more and more hosts to go for the 14% flat rate fee. Because why? Because there's no service charge to the guest. Hello. Now, the reason why that's important, when I was doing my messing around on Airbnb, I looked on a listing, and in the bottom right-hand corner, just below where normally it says book now, there was a box that was there, and it says, you do not pay a service charge when you book this listing. So pretty much, it says it in black and white, red, it was there right in front of me. So it's encouraging the guest to get me to book there because I wouldn't be paying a service charge. And you can look at what they're doing with cleaning fees at the moment. Mr. Chesky was on stage saying, getting rid of cleaning fees, okay? So basically what they're doing is they're trying to make sure that the host is pushing towards this 14% flat rate commission fee, so then the guest doesn't have to pay any extra fees, okay? Now you may be thinking, why 14%? Well, I've mentioned two other massive booking channels, Booking.com and Vrbo. Can you guess what their minimum commission fee is? 15%. So they're 1% cheaper. Now, why are they doing this? Well, this is the problem. By 2030, this is the prediction, 80% of all bookings will be via an OTA. And the prediction is by the end of next year, Airbnb will have 65% of the market. Now, the reason why that stat, and they told me if I press this, oh look, I get this, is important, is that in 2017, Airbnb had just 17% of the market, 17. Okay? So they have not only caught up with Booking.com, they have not only caught up with Vrbo, they have overtaken them. And they have now verbaged the short-term rental industry. Nobody walks around saying, I'm going to go book a Vrbo. They say, I'm going to go book an Airbnb. Now, this is why I do what I do. Because the worry is this, is that if we continue to go down this route, if we continue to let the OTAs dominate this market, if you continue to be over 65% reliant on one channel, then what is stopping that 14% becoming 15%, or 20%, or 30%, or 40%? And the reason you think, well, that may be crazy, go look at another industry. Let's look at Amazon. Now, I brought out a book called The Book Direct Playbook. Put it on Amazon. For every book that I sell on Amazon, I have to give them 66 cents to every dollar. That's 66% commission, which is crazy, right? Now, I have got no other option. That is the only route that I have to go down. I haven't got a printing press in my garage, right? I have to literally go down that route. I have to put it on there. And this is my route. So in 2017, I was a host, just like everybody in here. My family business, we had a 14-bedroom boutique hotel, we had free vacation rentals, and I was at a hospitality meeting in England in a little town called Scarborough. Bless you. And I was at that meeting, and people were talking about bookings, and talking about Booking.com, and talking about this up-and-comer called Airbnb and Vrbo, and they're all complaining. They were complaining about bookings and where they're going to get them from. Now, my background before I came into the business full-time, I was working at a company called Yelp. You may have heard of them, the big review site. And I was doing sales and marketing, mostly marketing. And I learned so much about the power of social media, about the power of SEO, Google, about the power of building an email database. Everything that I'm going to talk to you today, I'm going to show you today. And I put it into our family business, and we were always between 70 and 80% direct, right? And at that meeting, I said, well, who out there is showing people how to boost bookings? And literally no one said, nobody. Basically, there was none. I went to the local tourism board, and there was no funding, yada, yada, yada. So I thought, sod it, I'm going to do it myself. So I created a group called the Hospitality Community Facebook group. It's still going to this day. You can all come and find it on Facebook and join. And it's just sort of snowballed from there. And what we predominantly do, and what I'm trying to do, first and foremost, I wanted to help hosts get to £1 million or $1 million in direct bookings collectively. We smashed that. We're now at $50 million that we combine. We've generated for all of our hosts that we power. We've got nearly 2,500 clients. Sorry, that one there. And we're growing and growing and growing. I'm only getting started. My next big mission and my next big goal is to get the attention of the OTAs, Airbnb, Vrbo, and Booking.com, and get a seat at the table to give hosts a voice. So we can be there, and as decision makings that are being made at this larger level, the hosts are always going to have a say. Because if not, I worry that this industry may go down the route of an Amazon. And if that starts to happen, if you start to lose control in your business, then it's not going to be a very pretty fun on your P&Ls. Now, I know every single person in this room can do this because I've done it. And so many other people have done it as well. And I think everybody in this room would love to be at 65% direct bookings, right? So I'm going to ask you a question, okay? And the answer I want is a massive hell yeah, all right? So the question's going to come in a second. I'm going to rev you up first, and then you're going to give it, all right? So if you want to increase your direct bookings, if You want to show Airbnb that you can do this yourself. And if you want to get started today, please give me a hell yeah. Who would like to increase their direct bookings? Hell yeah! Fantastic. Okay. Well, let's begin. Now, full disclosure, the slides that I thought I sent in wasn't the slides, so that's why I have to skip by all of us. But we've got you. We're in this verb. Now, what I would love for you to do, it's all about education, 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 education. And we're going to start today. Now, I know you've all got phones, so can you please take a picture of the screen? What I want for you to do is to take a picture of that screen and then just upload it to Instagram story or Facebook story and put hashtag BookDirect. If you put in @BoostlyUK, so BOOSTLYUK, and tag me in, I can see it and I can share it later. My goal today is I want to help you build a brand that is Googleable and that is Instagrammable. Okay? And the solution is how we do this is through spreading the word of BookDirect. Now, the reason why this slide was here, it is your fault. Now, I could stand here on my little soapbox and I could talk about BookDirect, BookDirect, BookDirect. But we need to do it together as a group. Okay? If this is going to work and if we are going to make sure all hosts have got a say and we can control our destiny, we need to be able to come together. So there's one thing that I would love for you to please stop doing, because every time you say this, a little bit of me dies inside. Stop calling yourself an Airbnb host. Every time you say this, you are marketing another business, okay? Say it loud, say it proud, and say your name, say your brand, say your business. Say you're a short-term rental host, medium-term rental host, whatever you want to call it, but stop calling yourself an Airbnb host. Call it short-term rentals, call it what you want, but start branding your business, okay? This is how we're going to get around it. This is how we're going to start talking about booking direct. And I'm going to show you today 10 tips on how you can do this. Now, some of those tips you may be already doing. Some of those tips may be that aha moment. One of the tips we're going to do right here today before you leave this room. Because we've been here, for a day and a half now. We've got another day coming up. I've been speaking to a load of you these last few days, and you've been to all these other conferences, and I was like, oh, this sounds fantastic. What have you done? And you're like, nothing. I've just got loads of notes. It's fantastic. Now, I know from my own personal experience, the growth in my family business and now Boostly has come at a point in time where we take action. So one of the tips today we're going to do before we leave this room, which is fantastic. And I'm looking forward to seeing if you get a booking on the back of it. These 10 tips, I guarantee you one of them you can do and you can put action in, and it will generate revenue for your business. Now, if that sounds good, give me a hell yeah. Hell yeah! All right, well, let's begin, shall we? Now, there will be a chance at the end for questions, and those cards, it's time to tell you what they are for. Now, we are going to do a little game. We're going to do it at the end, but all I need for you to think, to write down, and if you haven't got a card, there is pieces of paper at the back, or just rip a piece out. I want for you to write on the card the funniest thing that a guest has left behind. All right? It could be the funniest, it could be the rudest, it could be whatever it is, but you're going to write it down at some point over the next 57 minutes. You're going to bring it up to me when I ask, and I'm going to pick my favorite, and that person is going to win a very special prize that is in my bag. All right, so you don't have to write it now. Have a little think. The funniest, the rudest, the funniest, whatever, the silliest thing that a guest has left behind in one of your properties. All right, let's begin, shall we? Strap in, because this is going to be a pretty crazy 50 minutes. You're going to learn a lot. All right, number one, the most important thing in any business, doesn't matter whether you're doing short-term rentals, medium-term rentals, long-term rentals, you're an agent or whatever, you've got to know your avatar. Avatar is just buzzword bingo for just knowing your guest. Okay? Now, there's 3 important things to remember here. You've got to know who is coming to your area where your properties are. Number 1, who. Number 2, you've got to know what your property appeals to. So who does your property appeal to, which is really important. So who is coming to your area? And then number 3 is attract. So how do you then attract that guest to come and stay at the property? Okay? Now, I know what you're all thinking. And there's a very big question I guarantee we're going to get, but I've got the answer to it at number 10. So if there's something going on in your mind just now and the questions that are coming through, number 10 is going to help with this if you don't know what your guest is, okay? Number 2. Now, out of all the 10 tips, this is my favorite. And again, I don't care if you do short-term rental, medium-term rental, long-term rental, if you're a vendor, if you're an agent, or anything in between. These 4 little words are going to change your business. Now, I've been talking about this tip for 4 or 5 years now. I put a chapter on it in the book. And then a guy called Alex Hormozy, who knows who Alex Hormozy is? He put together a book called $100 Million Leads, and he smashed this tip out the park, and he did it even better than I ever could do. So if you want the extended version of what I'm going to talk to you about today, $100 Million Leads will definitely do this. But this is simple. And this is the tip that we are going to do today. Now, these 4 little words are going to change everything. And actually, when Ziona was talking in the previous session, she summed this up perfectly on how to use this. Now, referrals, word of mouth, social proof makes up for 90 to 93% of all purchasing decisions that are out there, okay? Now, the reason why nobody does this is because this is a mindset shift. It will take you a lot of accountability and a lot of pushing to do this first one, but once you do it once, the next time you send this message and the next time you ask this question will be 2 minutes later. So it's really, really simple, okay? Doesn't matter whether you want to get another property, doesn't matter if you want to get a guest, doesn't matter if you want to get in front of landlords, doesn't matter if you want to get in front of anybody that is a purchase maker. This is the question to ask. Do you know anyone, ... So if we're going to dial this back to the world of short-term rentals, it could be, do you know anyone that needs a place to stay in Orlando? Do you know anyone that's coming to the Poconos? Do you know anyone that needs yada, yada, yada? Now, what I want for you to do is I want to get your phone out. Now, you're going to ask this question. You can ask this question, you can send it in a message to a buddy, you could put it in a Facebook group, heck, you can go and put it in the Bigger Pockets event app that's on there today. But you're going to ask the question, do you know anyone? So if there's anything pressing in your business right now, if you need bookings, hands up if you would like a direct booking in your business. Well, I know you do, because you all said hell yeah about 5 minutes ago. So if you've got availability coming up, let's just say over Thanksgiving or wherever the next part of this year, you can go, do you know anyone who needs a place to stay during Thanksgiving? Do you know anyone who needs a place to stay? Do you know anybody who's coming to the area? Okay? So that's your homework for the rest of this. And if you do this, you get to ask a question at the end. So if you want to ask a question, you've got to do the homework. And I will check before I ask you a question, okay? Now, I asked this, and I set this homework on stage in Nashville at an event earlier this year, and we actually had a direct booking before I ended my talk, which is pretty cool. So let's see if Orlando and Bigger Pockets, if we can beat that. Does that sound good? You're not so sure, but I promise you, give it a go. Okay, number 3 is, well, it says Google and Jotforms, but all this is to start to build a database, start to build a list. Now, one of the most important ways that you are going to drive more direct bookings, more customers, is by building a list. Now, for those of you in the room that have been doing your short-term rental business for a while, you will know that when a booking comes in from an OTA, Airbnb, you do not get the email address. You get the phone number, but you don't get the email address. It's only going to be a matter of time until you stop getting the phone number from Airbnb. That's my big prediction, because they want to keep all communication on the app, all the messaging on the app. So I'm a son of a farmer, and as my dad always used to say, make hay while the sun shines. So what we're going to start doing is you're going to start building that list. Now, just a quick in the room, hands up who is actively collecting email addresses right now. Brilliant, fantastic, about 5% of the room. So for the 95% who aren't, this is how you can do it. Because as soon as we start to say build a list, it gets really overwhelming. It's like, Mark, I don't know what to use. What CRM should I do? What email marketing software should I do? You can start, and it costs absolutely no money. You can use Jotform or a Google form. Now, on the Google form, you're going to get the main pieces of data. First name, last name, email address, phone number. If you want to go a little bit fancy, you can ask these questions. Number one, what are you coming to the area for? What are you coming to the area for? Leisure, business, Orlando, Disney, Universal, etc., right? Great question to ask. Fancy question number two, why did you book with us? Why did you book with us? So what was the deciding factor to why you book with us? Now the reason why that question is amazing is that you all have your listings, you all take your pictures, right? You all do all of the things. You may think that you know who your ideal guest is at the tip number one, but the best people to ask why they book with you is the people who are booking with you. Now it could be your hot tub, it could be your views, it could be destination, it could be price, it could be all of these factors, but there's so many different variables of why they may book with you. So why not just ask? And if you can get 10 people and 7 people are pointing towards this one thing, then guess what? That's your attract for you do know anyone, okay? Final question, and this is going to come back later on, so make sure you're writing this down, is are you celebrating anything while you're staying with us? It could be celebrating, or is it a special occasion, X, Y, and Z. It could be little Timmy's birthday, it could be anniversary, it could be whatever, okay? Now that jot form will take a person filling it in about 30 seconds. Super simple to do. And what you're going to do is, again, Google Forms is free. And when you're finished, you get a little link. And guess where you're going to put that in your booking journey. So from the point of a guest booking to the point of a guest arrival, just shout out, at what point of that journey, where do you think you're going to put that email in the sequence or the message in the sequence? Right at the very start. Brilliant. So the cool thing about Airbnb or Vrbo or Booking.com is that when a booking comes in, you can set up automated messaging that goes out. A quick show of hands. Who has got a property management software tool that you use? Okay, brilliant. I'm not going to ask which one because I'll ask all of you and you'll all say different ones. There's over 1,000. It's crazy. There's so much choice, right? But whatever you're using, you can set up an automated message that will go through Airbnb if they book through Airbnb or through Vrbo or through Booking.com, and it'll get sent directly to them. Okay? And all you're going to do is you can amend the copy. Now, if you would like the full script that I have used for years, and I show so many people how to do it, it's in that book that I showed you earlier, the Book Direct Playbook. You can go grab it and you can use the script. It's simple to use, but I'll give you a quick rundown. The subject line says, important check-in information. Which guest is not going to open that? They've just booked with you, important check-in information. That's the subject. That's the first thing that they see. And in the body of the email, it'll say, hey, Matt, thank you so much for booking with insert your brand name. Please read this email or this message. It's very important. And then just put, to speed up your check-in process, please make sure you fill in our, I call it onboarding form. It could be check-in form, etc. And it's just a link to your Google form. After that, it could be, we will be in touch closer to your stay. Thanks, Mark, insert brand business name. Super simple. The biggest mistake I see a lot of you make at this point right now is that you give them an essay. You give them paragraphs upon paragraphs about all of the things. They don't care. If you overwhelm, you will confuse them, and then they will not read that email. So really simple, quick, one click to action, so one link to give them, and it goes to your Google form. Now, you may be thinking, that's all well and good for you, but England's different to America. They would do things differently over there. I'm filming a YouTube documentary this year. It goes live on Boxing Day, 26th of December. And for the YouTube documentary, I took one host in the UK and I took one host in America. And we have been testing this exact thing with the host in America. He's brand new. He just got his property last November. You know, he literally didn't know his ass from his elbow. But we've been doing this and we've been doing exactly this. And we've had over 40 people fill it in over the course of this year. Just got one property in Orlando, right? And the data and the information that we have got has been invaluable. So the one thing that I would love for you all to write down is build your email list. Build your database. Now, have you heard of the expression, all the gear but no idea? When you start to build these emails, I want you to actually do something with them, actually email your guest. But that's a whole other talk for a whole other day. But start to build. Now I'm going to give you a stat. And I gave this stat in Nashville when I spoke there in March, and somebody audibly gasped from the audience, so it's a big one. For every $1 that you invest in email marketing, you get $42 back. That's 4,200 return of investment. I know you're all investors, you love your percentages and your numbers. That's a pretty good return of investment. So please, please, please do me one favor, start to build this list. Even if you start today and you start getting one every day over the course of the next year, by this time next year, when I come back, you'll have 365 emails sat there. Please start to do this. Tip number 4. Now, just like the do you know anyone, this one may be out of your comfort zone slightly, but as I always say, and I always will continue to say, when everybody zigs, you zag. I don't know what it is about 2023, but nobody wants to actually pick up the phone and have a conversation anymore. Everybody wants to do voice notes, they want to send like little DMs, they don't actually want to have a human conversation. It's crazy. But when a reservation comes in, this is one of the things that we always used to do, and it meant that we never had any cancellations, and I'll tell you for why. Not if, but when Airbnb moves everybody off this 3% commission and everybody moves to this 14%, the guest is not going to pay a service charge, right? And obviously everybody in this room has got different levels of cancellation policies, from flexible to very strict. But one thing that we always did, in the UK, Booking.com is a major platform. It's a lot bigger than it is over here. But what we were finding is that when we had a guest book, they would not only book ours, they would book 3 other properties, right? And then what they'd do is they'd cancel down 3 and just keep 1. So I thought, well, how can we make it where our property is the one that they don't cancel? And I thought, well, people like to buy from people, right? So let me call up and I'll put a human behind the place. So I would call up the guest within 24 hours of the booking that's being made, and I would introduce myself. Say, hey Matt, it's Mark from our business we'll call The Granary. Just wanted to say thank you so much for making the reservation. Just to let you know that we'll be sending you a couple of emails closer to your stay. If you need anything, please get in touch. 1 minute on the phone, it meant the world. Our cancellation rates dropped because instantly we put a name and a person and a human behind a booking that is very much automated, okay? Now, also as well at this point, guess what question that I asked? Oh, by the way, why are you coming to the area? Oh, that's very interesting. What are you celebrating? I got so much information from that one phone call. I instantly knew what they were coming to the area for, why they picked us, and all of those cool things. And it builds me on very nicely to my next tip, which is build multiple revenue streams. Now, there's only a certain amount of heads that you can fit on beds. You've got a certain amount of inventory, right? If you've got one property, and let's just say, just for shits and giggles, you've got a 1 week minimum stay, and that means you can do 50 bookings in a year. Give or take 2 weeks for maintenance, and you want to go stay in it, right? So that's only 50 people out of the 6.2 million listings that are on Airbnb, all of the millions of people every single day are booking. You just have to find 50 to book with you, right? Now, my goal from everybody in here is that the profit that you make per booking is going to be the lowest revenue generator in your business. There's a company that I want for you to know about. Again, this isn't my company. I'm not an investor. I just love what they do. It's called rentmount.com. They are helping you upsell your guests with experiences by adding on things like e-bikes and all of that. They take care of everything for you, okay? And they will help you generate more revenue per booking. But we tested this theory with the host in America. Now, one of the questions we asked was, are you celebrating anything? Are you got a birthday or an anniversary? Don't forget, the host that I'm talking about didn't know his ass from his elbow, didn't know anything, right? But what we noticed was people were booking with him for birthdays. There was a lot of birthdays that were happening. So I said, let's build a birthday package, right? So just imagine, I've got 4 kids. Okay, I know I look really young, but I've got 4 kids, right? They are 1, 5, 8, and 10. If I was booking a place to stay for birthday for Frankie, the 5-year-old, and if the host mentioned to me on arrival, would you like our birthday package? I would instantly go, yes, please. Because I don't have to try and hide presents in the car for that 3-hour journey. I don't have to think about setting things up. When I arrive, there's literally going to be birthday banner, a little gift, and a nice card. Now, that cost to the host, let's say, $50. I've seen people upmark that by about 300%, and people pay it because they're not so much thinking about the cost. They're thinking about little Frankie's reaction when he walks in and he sees these birthday presents that are literally waiting there for him, a little banner and a little card. A little touch like that goes a long way. So if you don't have a birthday upsell or an anniversary upsell, or if your guests aren't coming to celebrate, then think about other creative ways that you could do this. For example, for those of you that are in a city, okay, you could maybe offer an early check-in or a later checkout. Or you can maybe offer airport pickup. Try and think of creative ways how you can generate. Now, on one booking, it's not going to make a lot of difference. But if you compound that over a year, it could be a nice little extra thing that boosts the P&L at the end of it. Again, upsell, upsell, upsell. I put on here, every guest communication is an upsell opportunity, and I think that is so true. So try and think of creative ways. Now, this next tip may get me in a little bit of trouble, but I'm all for that. So, this next one is a good one. It says optimize your OTA listings, but I like to call it the billboard effect. Now, there are companies out there, the big brands, so McDonald's, Denny's, I'm trying to think of US brands. Chick-fil-A, I had my first Chick-fil-A the other day. Massively let down, it was chicken and piece of 2 bread. I don't know what the fuss is about, but anyway. And then you've got the big toothpaste brands, right? The reason why they advertise on billboards, the reason why they do TV ads, the reason why they do radio ads and newspaper ads and Facebook ads and Instagram ads is because when you are ready to make that purchasing decision, when you walk into that store and you see all of that choice, you think of their brand. That's why it's called the billboard effect. Now, I'm not saying to you all, go and spend money doing billboards ads, radio ads, TV ads, and Facebook ads. But we have got some fantastic opportunities to do the billboard effect on Airbnb, Vrbo, and Booking.com. Now, just recently, last couple of weeks, I saw Mr. Rob Abasolo talking about this on his YouTube channel, and I was like cheering from home, because I was like, I've been talking about this for ages. It's such a cool way of doing it, and it's being really creative with your listing. So if you know the video that I was talking about, Rob has started to brand his business on his Airbnb listing, Neek Sleeps. Now, I said that there's 6.2 million listings on Airbnb. Just from you being in this room and just from people that take the time to attend conferences and watch YouTube videos and actually take action, I would say you're in the top 5% of that whole website. That means there's 6 million shitty listings and shitty hosts. Right? You're in the top 5%. People still assume that Airbnb is people putting up their spare room, or if they're putting up their spare house, hobbyist hosts, as I like to call it. So by instantly branding your business and not calling yourself a Airbnb host, but by branding your business Neek Sleeps, for example, you provide one thing to that booker if they come across your listing, and that's trust. You instantly look more professional from everyone else in your area. And all he did to do that, he put his little logo, a little watermark in the bottom left-hand corner of his image. Super simple to do. Now, you may be thinking, well, Airbnb may suss me out, I don't want to do that. That's fine. Well, here's another alternative that you could do. Next time that you have a photo shoot in your property, you can get creative. There's a company in the UK, and they brand their pillows on the sofa. So when a person walks in and they see a nice sofa, it's got like a little logo on it, host and stay, which is really cool. If you're thinking, well, I don't want to be branding a pillow, well, you've got your fridge. Think of the high touch points that you have in your property, the fridge, the front door, and put some branding on there, a fridge magnet with your branding on there. And then when you're doing the photo shoot and you've got a nice picture of the kitchen, guess what's going to be in the background? Your logo. You're instantly branding it. Pictures is number one. The second billboard effect is in your description. So you've got your main images, and then the next thing that people see is the little description. Luke and Avery Carl, yesterday and today, they did a fantastic breakdown of how to break down your listing and your copy, etc. But one of the things that I would like to add on top of that is that first line of copy is everything. It's the perfect opportunity to put in your business and your brand name. The second little tip, before I tell you the copy, is to give your property a name, brand it. There was a post I saw in a Facebook group a couple of weeks ago, and it was of a property in LA, right? And this place, they branded it the spaceship, right? Now, the reason why that's such a good idea, and they branded it, is that I saw that post 3 weeks ago, and I still remember what that name is now. Now, for you, your property, the brand name that you give it, it'll be unique to you and your business, right? But my real big tip would be every single property, give it a name. Make it Googleable, from what I said at the start. So for example, the copy would be introducing the Space House by insert brand name, okay? Now the reason why that's clever, the reason why that's cute, is because we all assume that every single guest and every single person's booking journey is the same as ours. It's not. The booking process, there's 5 key steps to it, and it is a talk in itself, but I'll just give you a quick breakdown, is that you all assume, because of what you do, is that you go on Airbnb, you find a place, you book it. Do not underestimate the urge of people wanting to click around. People will want to look for the best rate. People will want to look for the best deal. So much so, a couple of years ago, you may remember this TV ad, Hilton did a full advertising campaign with a beautiful LA Hollywood film star, and the thing was, stop clicking around. That was their campaign, because they saw the data, they saw the stats, stop clicking around. So what that means is, the guests will find a property, yeah, but they're then bouncing to Google, and they're going to see if they can find it better price elsewhere. Now, if you say in the very first few words, this is the Space House by insert brand name, guess what they're going to Google? They're going to Google that. And guess what's going to come top of it? Your direct booking website. Now, if you haven't got a direct booking website, don't worry. Okay? Do not worry. This is what Boostly does. You can come to us and we'll give you one. But I know, I'm joking. No. But what's really important here, even if you have a direct booking website now, the next part of this, and I haven't got a slide on it, but I was just thinking about it before I came up to talk today, and I want to make sure that you all know this. And this is really key, and this is why the OTAs and those stats are what they are. Because when you sign those T's and C's, when you sign up to Booking.com or Vrbo or Airbnb, those T's and C's that you don't read, you sign off where they say that they can bid on your brand name on Google Ads, on Bing Ads, okay? Now you sign them because you don't think about it, but this is important. So even if you can get a guest or a future potential guest to land on your listing, even if they go, yeah, this is it, this is what I want to book, I'm going to go and check online, see if I can get the best rate. They jump onto Google, they run a search in. If you're not protecting your own brand name on Google, well, guess what the first 3 search results on Google or Bing are going to be? The OTAs, because they are bidding on your brand name. Normally you can't do that for copyright or trademark. But because we sign it off, we're saying, yep, go ahead Booking.com, go ahead Vrbo, go ahead Airbnb, go ahead and do so. So I haven't got a slide on this, but I've got a YouTube video on this. So I want you to write down a domain, boostly.co.uk, so B-O-O-S-T-L-Y, I literally put it on my chest so you could all understand my accent, .co.uk/bid on brand. I show you how to fight fire with fire and how you can combat this. And the cool thing is that it costs pennies. It doesn't cost a lot of money, the big misconception with Google Ads. The next one is probably, I would say, my favorite. And this one is offline marketing. I've been at quite a lot of events this year, and one of the things that I'm starting to get known for is toilet stickers. In fact, if you go to the gents' toilet, you will see a sticker as you sit down at the cubicle that says, now I've got your attention, scan this code for more direct bookings. It's offline marketing, right? In fact, I put it next to that chap at the back on his phone. I stuck it up on the back wall there so you can see it for yourself as you're walking out. That's offline marketing, right? You don't have to be Google adding it. You don't have to be TikTok adding it or Instagram adding it. When everybody zigs, you zag. You're going to hear me saying that a lot. And some of the best ways to do so is being visible in places that other people aren't. Now, I know you don't have these over here, but if I say roundabout, do you know what I mean? Yeah. So there is a company in Scarborough, where I'm from, where I live in the UK, and they sponsor roundabouts. It's a short-term rental business. I can't go on a roundabout in Scarborough without seeing host and stay everywhere. Everywhere. And just imagine the amount of people are driving around and they see that, host and stay, host and stay. The billboard effect on that is crazy. They are branding it. There's another one of our clients who sponsored bins, trash cans, by putting the logo on it. And they were appealing to contractors or midterm rental people. They get so many inquiries because the footfall. I know you don't like to walk in America, but in England we like to walk. So the footfall is crazy. Now, offline marketing can be a number of things. I've given you 2 crazy ones, but super simple ones. Something that you can literally do when you get back to your town could be flyers. Notice boards. Outside schools, there's normally like notice or community boards, or supermarkets in Walmart, there's normally a community board. Put up a flyer saying, and you know, the question that you're going to ask is, do you know anyone? Super simple. Do you know anyone who needs to do X or Y or Z? ... That ... is personal to you. So have a look at offline marketing opportunities. Again, the book Diet Playbook, I give a ton of these. I give like a full list off what we're going to be. But offline marketing is a phenomenal one. An even simpler one, I've got it on my chest right here, just branding the business. We had a client of ours, she's got 4 kids like me, and she had hoodies, just hoodies with the branding of a glamping business that she had, and she wore it every day on the school run. And then one day after the school run, somebody collared her and said, do you have a glamping business? And she said, yeah. She said, I've got a family that's coming in for the summer holidays, and I don't want them to live with me for the summer. Can I come and stay with you? Yeah, absolutely. That's a direct booking right there. And all it was is she had a branding on the back of the hoodie. Number 8. Now, this one is a lovely one. Now, you can use this in so many scenarios. But the example that I'm going to give you is if you want to get in front of a business, right? This example is, if there's somebody that you want to get in front of, whether it's a homeowner or a business, and you've got their mailing address. And I've heard people say, I'm going to send out some mailers. When you send out an envelope, the biggest mistake that you can make is send it in a white envelope. Why? Everybody thinks it's a bill, right? Here's my top tip. Get a pink or a gold envelope. Who would not open a gold envelope because they think it's Willy Wonka and they're going to win something? Tip number 1. Tip number 2 is put something cool inside the letter. So obviously the letter is going to be whatever your letter is going to be. You're going to write to them and you're going to say what you're looking for, whether it's you want to introduce your short-term or medium-term rental business for their staff members so they can come and stay with you, or homeowners or whatever, co-hosting, whatever. The copy is going to speak to what you've put in. So if you're going to put a sweet, a Werther's Original, just say, I've left something sweet for you. Or this deal's super sweet, here's some candy. Or if you're going to put in an Amazon gift card, it's going to say, hey, Black Friday's coming up, here's a little treat on me. Or a scratch card, you know, one of those little lotto scratch cards. It could be, today could be your lucky day. Scratch a lottery ticket and then give me a call. The other tip with lumpy mail is this. When you post it off, get it signed for on delivery. And there's some delivery services where you get an SMS, a text message, as soon as that thing's been signed for, right? And if you want to get in front of a local business, and as soon as you get the SMS saying it's been delivered and signed for, give them a call. Hey, it's Mark, did you get my envelope? It's literally right here. Oh, brilliant, let's have a conversation. That's the best way of getting past a gatekeeper. If you can also do this with donuts, you can also do this with anything. But get it signed for, and you get a notification on the point of delivery. Because if you were just to drop in a call right now, it's super cold. It's ice cold. But when they've got a box of donuts or a gold envelope in front of them, they're going to have a conversation with you. So, lumpy mail. We've got 2 tips left, and then we've got our game to play. And you do questions if you want. Number 9. Now, this is one of the most common mistakes I see all of you make. And hands up if you've had Taylor Swift come through your town or your city over the last... Okay. When Taylor Swift comes to town and those Swifties are in your area, you could sell that date 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 times over. The biggest cardinal sin that I see hosts make is they put those dates on Airbnb, they put those dates on Vrbo, they put those dates on Booking.com, right? What I want for you to do, especially if you've got a property management software tool, it doesn't have to be a Swiftie Fest. It could be a Christmas, it could be Thanksgiving, it could be, you love to give your holidays a name over here, it's like Memorial and things like that. You can block those out on your calendars, right? And guess what you're going to do? You put a post out on social media, you send an email out to your list saying, hey, these dates in my calendar year, you can only book them directly by giving me a call or an email or on my Boostly Direct Booking website. And it's super simple. And because you say that, you do one thing, and that's FOMO, fear of missing out. And we did this every year like clockwork in January. We would block out our dates to the OTA. So you literally couldn't book those dates on Airbnb, Booking.com, Vrbo. We closed them out on our channel manager, on our PMS, and we sent an email out to our whole list saying, hey, these dates this year, whether it's an event or a holiday or whatever, you can only book direct. And we've only got this amount of availability. We've only got this amount of rooms. We've only got this amount of places. If you want to book with us, you've got to call, email, or book on our website. By the way, I'm sending this out to our whole list, so book now. We would get about 20 to 30% of our whole inventory for the year booked out literally in the first few weeks of January because of the fear of missing out. Now, the closer you get to those dates, let's just say for whatever reason they've not booked out, then guess what you do? You go into your property management software tool and you open the date on Airbnb. You open the date on Vrbo or Booking.com. However long it is that you want to be in there, it's just a game of playing chicken. But this is where we make the OTAs work for us and not the other way around. So when you need a booking, that's what you need the OTAs for. And again, I've got a video on the YouTube channel showing you exactly how to do this over the shoulder, step by step. It's just Boostly YouTube, go and check it out. But please, 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 stop giving your best dates to the OTAs. Now at the very, very start, tip number 1. Let's see if you're making notes. What was the first tip that I said, by the way? Good man. Now I said, and I guarantee it was going to be a question, but Mark, I don't know who's coming to my area. You live like in the east of the country, but you invest in the west. It's crazy. It's like you go, well, I don't know who's coming to that area. I don't live in that market. Well, there's a really cool tool that is free, that's been around for about a year now, that is smarter, 1,000 times smarter than the most cleverest person on this planet, and it's called AI. It's ChatGPT. It's cloud. It's whatever you use, whatever generative AI bot that you use. And you can ask it the question of, hey, ChatGPT, let's do a bit of market research. What is predominantly the type of guest that comes to the Poconos, Orlando, or whatever? And you can keep drilling it down. It's like having an assistant that never asks questions, never gets bored, never falls asleep, never asks for a pay rise. It's the best, it's free, and it's easy to use. Now, AI is at its infancy. It's iPhone 1 level right now. Very soon it's going to get to iPhone 15 level, okay? But in the start, you've got such an advantage over everybody by tapping into it. In fact, Boostly has created our own bot. So if you want to just ask me questions like 24/7, I've created one that is literally built around everything that I've ever said. It's basically, we've built it on, it's scraped all of my podcasts. We've got 600 podcasts. We've done 1,500 videos, every blog I've ever done. If you want to ask it a question, write down this domain. It's boostly.co.uk, BOOSTLY/AI. It's free, literally costs you nothing to use, and you can ask me questions all day long. So boostly.co.uk/AI. So literally, in a couple of weeks' time, you're going to be able to phone me. And you're going to be speaking to a bot. You're going to be asking me questions, and I'll answer back in my weird British accent. So that's pretty cool. So that's free. So we've got 10 tips. it says questions, and obviously if you are not yet into short-term rentals, I cannot recommend this book enough. Avery Carl's Short-Term Rental, Long-Term Wealth. I know they're going to be signing at 4:30 next door, so please make sure you grab that. And then the book that I talk about, which is How to Get More Direct Bookings, there's 101 tips. It's called the Book Direct Playbook. Now, before we do questions, have you all written down on your cards? All right, I'm going to give you a minute to write down on your cards. Now, don't all run to the front just yet. I really hope that you got a lot of value from that 30, 40 minutes. And I've got a little favor in return to ask. Now, please don't leave just yet. I've got a little favor. Now, I've got 4 kids at home. I've got 3 boys, Alfie, Charlie, and Frankie, and a little baby called Rosie. Now, they haven't got a clue what I do. The 5-year-old actually said to me, Daddy, why do Americans listen to you? And I said, blame the Royals and blame David Beckham. So I said to them, and if you're all up for it, I'm going to get my phone out and I'm going to hit record. And if you could just say, hi, Alfie, Charlie, Rosie, and Frankie. I know it's a lot. I've got 4 kids. I'm sorry. I should invest in a TV. But if you could do that for me, that would be amazing. So I'm going to hit record. And if you could just shout as loud as you can, hi, Alfie, Charlie, Frankie, and Rosie. It's about 8 o'clock, so they're about to go to bed at home. I'm going to send this. I'll send it to my wife. And then they'll make their day. So on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Hi, Alfie, Charlie, Frankie, Rosie. Brilliant, thank you very much. All right. Okay, so if you have written on that card, can you please come up and just place it here in front of me? If you haven't got a card, you can write on a piece of paper. The question was, what is the funniest, craziest, rudest thing that a guest has left behind? So I'm gonna look at a few. I've been looking as I've got them in, and here's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna pick one that I've seen that's made me really laugh, but I'm gonna take all of these back to the room, and I'm gonna pick another one, and I'll put it out on Instagram. Send me a message. If that was you, and then I'll duplicate this prize. Now the prize is this. So I brought out the Book Direct Playbook, and this is the workbook that came with it. Now, as we all know, when we come to action, anything, it's always good to have a bit of accountability buddy. So what I've done in the front of this book for the winner, I've put my personal cell phone number so you can send me a message at any time, ask me questions about direct bookings or about England, whatever you like. But my number is in the front of this, and I'm going to duplicate it. So I'm going to pick one now that I've got, and then I'm going to do another one after. They took my washer and dryer. This one says, powder on my mirror. Okay, we've got to our first 18 plus raunchy one, handcuffs and lube. I can't say that one. Okay, that's crazy. Oh, okay. And this gives a clue to what they did with what was left behind. Wood box filled with very good. Vomit, and lots of vomit. I think we know the market you're in. A lot of handcuffs. People have a personalized pee bottle. Your poor cleaners. All right, the next one, hemorrhoid cream, which is fun. Okay, a lot of toys. It's just a lot. Wow. What do you do in America? All right, I will go through all of these, I promise. I promise I will go through all of them, but this one stuck out to me, and we've actually got a name. It's a bit smudgy, but this says, and this is the winner, and you get the book, a ... and they asked me to mail it back. Kirsty, come up here. All right, give Kirsty a round of applause. Thank you. You can have that back. Thank you. Okay, now I did promise Bigger Pockets that we'd do questions at the end. So, hands up if you did the homework. Fantastic. So, keep your hands up if you would like to ask a question, if you've done the homework. Round of applause. There we go.
Yeah, so one question, it's two questions actually, and I'm trying to make it quick. The first one is, and I think I know the answer, and probably we're the solution. How do we educate potential guests to go direct more? Because even, there's no, my wife is a physician, and she would never book direct because she just doesn't have the time for it. She's just going to go Airbnb. And there's also our elderly guests who want to do whatever's easiest, safest. So how do we do that?
Yeah.
And then second, do you predict that Airbnb is going to make it more difficult for those of us that use PMS? Because that's one of the best ways for us to get around it. Do you see that potentially happening?
Okay, so I'll answer the first question, the one you just asked now about the property management software tool, and then I'll come back to the first. So to answer the Airbnb question, again, I do not work for Airbnb. I do not represent them, obviously. But I do not see a world where they would hurt or damage you for connected to a property management software. The reason being is that they have worked so hard to get those two-way connections with the property management software tools, because their enemy is Booking.com, is Vrbo. That's who they want to be. And so to do that, they need to be connected. So no, I think if anything, it will only help you in the future to make sure you get a property management software tool, because to prevent this thing called a double booking, which is things you don't want, you need to make sure that you are all connected to one central hub, which is a property management software tool. Now, the first one is a really good one, because at the end of the day, people are selfish, right? If they can get a better deal elsewhere, they will book elsewhere. Airbnb are phenomenal at two things: branding and marketing. They have got, I think it's the most underrated marketing and branding team in the world. They're phenomenal because they have built this huge trust with not only you, the hosts, but the general public as well. Now, there's a couple of really cool ways to get around it. Number one, educate, 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 educate. The simplest thing that you can do is fridge magnets. Again, we identified there are some really key touch points in our short-term rental and in our boutique hotel. That was the front door and it was the fridge, right? So what we did is we got this nice little laminate and we stuck it on the front door and we stuck it on the fridge. And we just said, hey, next time you book here, book direct. You get X. So one of the cool little cheeky things that we did, and again, I've got a full chapter on this in the book, is that our check-in time was always 2 o'clock. Always, always 2 o'clock. I went on all of our online travel agents and I put the check-in time to 5 o'clock, right? So then I could go back to our direct booking website, I could go to our marketing and say, book direct, you get early check-in. Now, think about it. If you've got kids, I've got 4 kids. If I'm gonna drive for 3 hours with all of them just mac, 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 mac in the back, singing Baby Shark or whatever they do, if I get to the venue and I've booked via an OTA and I can't check in till 5 o'clock, I'm going to be pretty annoyed. But if at the point of booking, right, and this is something that you can do, and again, this gets me in a lot of trouble when I say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. When you send out that confirmation message, I love to add one little other box. And that little box is important check-in information. And I say, if you have booked via a third party, i.e. Airbnb, Booking.com, Vrbo, your check-in time is 5 o'clock. If you have booked with us direct, i.e. email, phone call, website, your check-in time is 2 o'clock. ... New line. If you want to discuss anything about your stay, here's my direct cell. You know that saying in Anchorman, 60% of the time, it works every time? Well, it does work. My phone call would go and the script would be exactly the same every single time. Hi, yeah, Mark, I just got your email. I heard about a 2 p.m. check-in if I book direct. What does book direct mean? How can I change? Absolutely, no problem, sir. This is what we're going to do. Just for security reasons, confirm your email. Brilliant. Remember, I don't have their email. I've now got their email. What we're going to do is I'm going to book you in direct, but we just need to make sure that we get the right information. So you've got the email, So again, the context is here, you've got to have a payment processor, i.e. Stripe, Guesty are now doing their own, etc. So can I just get down the card details so I can get your deposit or however you do it? Fantastic, thank you. So I just need you to do me one more thing and I'll get you booked in direct. And you'll get that earlier check-in. Can you just go into your Airbnb booking and just hit that cancel for me? Brilliant, thank you. Now, this is important. You as a host should never, ever, 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 ever cancel a reservation. Why? Because then you'll lose that superhost badge you all love so much. But as well, your algorithm will tank, and you might as well just cancel your listing if you're going to cancel your own bookings, right? Instead, you get the guest to cancel. Now, why does that work compared to the other one? And the other thing you're going to ask is, well, is it not against Airbnb T's and C's? No, because 33% of all bookings result in a cancellation. You are just one of millions of cancellations that happen on a daily process, but because it's the guest cancelling and not you, it's just another cancellation. And then all you do very quickly, boom, 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 in your PMS, direct booking. The guest gets what they want, earlier check-in. And you can also as well get your little sales hat going and say, you know what, Matt, to sweeten this for you, to help you out, how about a little 5% discount or 2% discount? Or how about I do the little welcome basket? I call it the direct booking welcome basket. You all give teas and coffees and wine anyway. Why not put it together in a little wicker basket that you can get from TJ Maxx and call it your direct booking basket? People, when you give them incentives to direct book, and more importantly, you talk about it, they will do it time and time and time again. And obviously, we're going to start building our list, our email list, and you just keep repeating the message, book direct, book direct, book direct, book direct, book direct. It's important. It can't be just me talking about this on stage. The reason why I flew all the way from England in for this is that I want to try and educate as many, many, many people as possible. And my one wish and my one ask is that you come out of this and you implement it into your businesses. Because the worry is that if we get to there, then we won't have the control that we currently have. There's two things you're going to get, control and confidence. If you can have confidence and control in your business, everything is gravy. These tips that I've given you, try them all. Some will work, some won't. But guess what? That's just business. We are very, very, very fortunate in this industry that you can start a business, take a couple of pictures, upload it on 2 websites and be guaranteed revenue pretty much depending on your market. We do website design at Boostly. There's not a website that I can go and list my business on and get customers just like that. You have to brand, you have to market, you have to sell, you have to do all of the things. So we're very lucky. But because it's so easy to get bookings on these platforms, context, it has been very easy, you become over-reliant. And when you become over-reliant, you become lazy and you just go, you know what, all these plates that I've got to spin, that plate, that marketing plate, Airbnb will take care of that. But what happens when that plate stops spinning? What happens when your area becomes oversaturated? What happens when bookings return to 2018 levels, which they are? I've seen so much nonsense spouted online. Airbnb bust. It's not Airbnb bust, it's going back to normal. So let's pull up our big boy and big girl pants and do something about it. Does that sound good? Yeah. Hang on. I asked you a question. Does that sound good? Yeah. Hell yeah. Okay, my name is Mark Simpson. Thank you so much for being with me today. Thank you.